The Cape Town film industry is booming, and as a result, is fueling and impacting positively the ancillary businesses that goes a long way to support the film industry business in South Africa. We'll be delving into an article to find out how much money they are making and perhaps likely to make, and how this is really changing the hospitality landscape in South Africa. And also moving on from South Africa to Marvel, not just one, not just two, but a third and very key actor is dropping out of the Marvel Blade movie. Is this the end of the film? Or is there some restructuring going on that perhaps we do not know of? We'll be delving into an article that was published that revealed this particular development. These and more right here is what we'll be talking about on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining me for another exciting episode of the Film Mandates. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. And so we are back again, and I'm excited to bring you these stories from the Film Mandates, where I bring to you stories from the African front and international scene. So, in our very first story from Africa, the South African film industry is one of the most prominent film industry in Africa. I think after Nigeria, they are one of the strongest film industry. Perhaps even maybe stronger than the Nigerian industry because we have a lot of infrastructure and things working out. But in terms of the revenue they make in a year, they are second to Nigeria. And it looks like as a result of such proper structures that exist in South Africa and how successful they are, it is really impacting ancillary businesses in Cape Town, to be specific. And so there is an article that was published in the Cape Town etc. that I thought it was really interesting to delve into. So this the heading is Movie Money. Cape Town's film boom is fueling hotels and more. And this was published by Kate Walker on June 8, 2025. I read, Cape Town's film sector is on track to bring in over 5 billion rand in foreign investments by October 2025. And it's not just production houses that are reaping the benefits. According to the Cape Town Central City Improvements District, the city's inner city hospitality scene is playing a leading role in this economic success story. Between January and May 2025 alone, the City of Cape Town's Film Permits Office issued 550 permits for productions shot in the CBD. In the broader picture, from November 2023 to June 2024, the industry attracted more than 2.5 billion rand in foreign-backed film investment. The real protagonist of this surge in filming activity is the inner city hospitality industry, said Grant Elliott, COO of Thibault Investments and Deputy Chairperson of the CCID, speaking to Property Wheel. Film crews, often in town for weeks or even months at a time, have helped redefine the city's typical visitor profile. Between November 2023 and June 2024, production teams racked up over 59,000 bed nights in Cape Town, spending close to 148 million rand. Hotels, guest houses, and apart hotels saw an influx of high-value long-stay bookings, but the economic impact didn't stop at accommodation. Restaurants, shops, bars, transport services, and even laundromats have all seen a boost. And demand isn't just for sleep. Film teams are increasingly booking office space in the CBD by the hour, day, or year, reflecting a growing need for agile working hubs that serve the industry's dynamic schedules. Elliott believes Cape Town's film-friendly policies, coupled with initiatives like South Africa's new digital nomad visa, which allows foreign creatives to work remotely for up to 36 months, will cement the city as a year-round creative destination. The visa is a strategic move to support Cape Town's evolving economic profile. We are already noticing fewer seasonal dips, Elliott added, in what used to be off-peak winter months, May through August. Our occupancy figures are significantly stronger than last year. The Western Cape is already the primary engine for South Africa's foreign-funded film projects, accounting for about 80% of the national total, with every rand spent on production estimated to generate an additional 2.5 rand, 2.50 rand in the local economy. Cape Town's starring role in the global film scene seems destined to become a long-running feature. So there is your article giving us a scope, a little, an idea as to how impactful the film industry is, particularly in the city of Cape Town. So, in the world over, the film industry is an exciting industry because everybody loves stories, and the final project work that comes out of the months and sometimes years of production is enjoyed by many people, regardless of race, culture, and whatever background may come from. And the film industry, whenever a team goes to shoot a project, they go with a lot of people and a lot of crew cast. And as a result of the number of days or months or sometimes even years they spend on a project, it results in other ancillary businesses to benefit from their presence, particularly the hospitality industry, because once a production is held at a particular place, there would be the necessity for them to have better lodging facilities, better let's say eatery services, or yes, and as much as possible the production house would ensure that the team have their own catering facilities to cater for them, but most often than not they have to outsource that contract to the local, maybe a local uh, uh, restaurant owner or chef to prepare the necessary meals. So as a result of that, a lot of money is actually pumped into that particular area where this business is taking place. And it cuts across from transportation, other logistics, sometimes even to rental of equipment from local crews who may, or businesses that rent out some of these logistics. So the film industry indeed is an industry, whenever it goes to a place to shoot, brings enormous benefits economic wise to whatever locale that may be. And it seems that that is the blessing that Cape Town in South Africa is receiving at the moment. And it is actually projecting that, from the look of things, I mean, from currently they are making about 2.5 billion rand from the a lot of productions that are coming in, particularly the foreign-backed investment, because South Africa is the one of the destinations where a lot of foreign films are shot in, not necessarily from the West alone, but from Europe and other places. So they receive a lot of these productions coming in to shoot their movies there, and as a result, taxes would have to be paid. Individuals who are working on the projects, that is local artisans who are hired on it, are also paid, and taxes will be deducted from their salaries and a whole lot more. So it becomes a, a blessing to not just the direct people who are working in the or as crew members or cast for the production, but also businesses that support it. So if they don't go with their own trailer vans, it means that they will sleep at hotels or guest houses. Regardless, Even if they have to rent trailer vans, or trailers, they would have to sort of buy rent it from a local supplier. So regardless of whichever form of accommodation they may have, whichever form of catering services they will be coming in for, all these supplies would have to be gotten from the vicinity in which they are, or perhaps the country in which they find themselves in. So, indeed, for South Africa to receive this is not surprising because, just as I said earlier on, South Africa is, in terms of the revenue they make in Africa, they are second to Nigeria. And not just that, but even first to every other film industry in Africa. I may be wrong, but from to the best of my knowledge, they have the best film infrastructure in Africa. That is why a lot of foreign based or backed productions would prefer it as their typical destination, because a lot of the infrastructure are put in place to supply whatever they need to get access to a lot of stuff. Not the entire South Africa as a whole, but Cape Town, I believe, and maybe Pretoria and Joburg. These are places which with much better infrastructure than a lot of African destinations. But as it stands now, it is not just the infrastructure that exists within these cities, but more so also the infrastructure by the film industry itself. They have the cinemas ongoing, all the necessary supply chains of camera logistics and all that to support the film industry. So in because of these structures that exist, the proper infrastructure, the proper, I believe, tax incentives, and then the workforce database, and sometimes even funding, it helps, or it makes it more attractive to foreign backed productions to want to shoot there than other places. In recent times, yes, the wind of change has, I mean, not necessarily the wind of change, it existed, but more frequently you have foreign backed productions going to other parts of Africa to shoot. Egypt is also one destination, mainly because of perhaps not just Egypt, but in other places, not just mainly because of the infrastructure, because they may not be as superior as that of South Africa. But with regards to perhaps locations and certain things that best suits the film that they want to shoot. So, yes, I think one of the things accounting for South Africa's most benefit, the benefit they are having now, is as a result of the proper infrastructure that exists. Better supply chain of logistics in terms of camera, I mean, like production supplies of equipment, the hospitality industry, and other things that perhaps are even, I mean, more things that other film industries in other nations may not have available in terms of the ancillary businesses. So, but as it stands now, a lot of African cities are actually developing their infrastructure to a point where it makes it much easier for foreign companies to want to go there and shoot. And Ghana has been one such destination. You have some of the Eastern African countries receiving a lot of people, foreign back productions there. Then Egypt is one shooting destination as well. So the tide is changing, and it looks like the benefits of putting the necessary structures in place is really helping them. And one such a success story is Cape Town in South Africa, and I'm excited about that because the more foreign productions come in, it means that the individuals, that is the crewmen and the industry itself, gets the necessary bolsters that they need. So just as they said, within the just in the year between January to May 2025, they have recorded a whopping amount of 550 permits for productions alone shot in the city of Cape Town. So that is really, really big. That is really, really huge. And then as a result, from November 2023 to June 2024, the industry has attracted more than 2.5 billion in foreign backed film investment. And even from the projections they are making, they are likely to make about 5 billion rand come perhaps a particular time span. So it, things are working out well for them because of the necessary foundations they are building, and I think it is really wonderful. Even looking at the fact that even in the seasons where a lot of foreign productions may not be available or the numbers may not be as high as they want, they've put in a digital initiative to ensure that they can still work remotely regardless of wherever you find yourself. So they have come up with the South Africa's new digital nomad visa to ensure that you can still work remotely regardless of where you are. And that is very innovative. That is very innovative. So I think they are doing something admirable that a lot of film industries in Africa can emulate, and I hope that the necessary stakeholders in the various African countries will find ways and means of learning about what South Africa is doing right, so that in turn all these industries will also attract the necessary, foreign backed productions into their countries to benefit from the much needed finances to help show up the some of the challenges that the African industries are facing. But all in all, it looks like collectively every film industry in Africa is improving gradually, and soon enough we'll get to this destination that Cape Town is almost close to reaching. So that sums up my first story for today. And moving on from that to my second story. It was just about 6 years ago when at Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, Mahershala Ali was introduced as the new Blade, and the excitement reached a crescendo that a lot of people, haven't thought of because it came just out of the blue. Maybe I'm sure some scoopers had knowledge about it, but it was a big deal for us and we're excited. But 6 years down the line, things haven't really gone well. And for one reason or the other, that we may not be privy to because we do not work in the studios. But I believe that the studios have a good reason. We do not know. But then there's been a new development that not just one, not just two, just as I said, but a third actor has just dropped. It's reported as to whether that is the case or not, but it looks like there's an iota of truth in it. So I'd like us to read the article and find out who this might be. And so this is published in the Direct, and it says that Marvel Studios' Blade movie lost two main actors, and it might have just dropped a third star. A recent casting announcement could spell bad news for the MCU's Blade movie cast. And this was published by Lauren Rouse, posted June 11th. And I read recent casting news could indicate that Marvel Studios' Blade film is about to lose another key actor. The Blade film was announced way back in 2019 with Mahershala Ali attached as the titular vampire hunter. In the in the years since, Blade has stopped and started on its journey to production, losing directors, gaining new actors, and remaining in development hell. Mia Goth was announced to join the Blade cast in April 2023, where she was reported to play the villain Lilith. However, later that year, the Writers and Actors Guild strikes put the film back into its perpetual development cycle. More recently, Goth has been attached to another major franchise, with Jeff Snyder reporting she is joining the cast of Sean Levy's Star Wars Starfighter alongside Ryan Gosling. Starfighter is targeting a May 2027 release date and is expected to film later this year. This casting is exciting news for Star Wars fans, but could be a bad sign for Blade. With God now committed to another major project this year, it's a red flag that Blade will not be filming anytime soon, if it even goes ahead. The last news from Blade's troubled production timeline came in October 2024 when Disney officially removed the film from its upcoming release schedule, which might have been the nail in the coffin for the MCU film. If Marvel's Blade film does manage to get back on track and then attempts to film in 2025, it could mean that Goth will have scheduling conflicts and have to drop out of the MCU movie due to her Star Wars commitments. This would not be the first time this has happened during Blade's development. Several actors have also been announced as part of Blade's cast only to remove themselves later. So we have, yeah, so that's the article on Mia Goth's exit. And the challenge with the Blade movie, as a lot of S film pundits have been, guessing or speculating, could be as a result of how evolving perhaps the story is becoming due to the new the dynamic change that is going on in Marvel at the moment. They've had a couple of challenges with regards to how critically their film has been and also box office wise. So I'm sure there's a lot of retooling going on, which may be resulting in affecting perhaps the story of Marvel's Blade. So in a way, it is indeed hampering perhaps the quick production process for the Blade. I'm just guessing. I don't have any information. I'm just guessing. But the question would be that perhaps the reason why it is not, if that's the case, perhaps the reason why it is still not getting done with several scripts, working on it, it could be that it's not a standalone project that could, I mean, regardless of which time span it is shot in or released, it won't really affect it. So it's possible that one of the reasons why this is happening is because perhaps the story is somehow connected to the larger MCU and perhaps has some serious consequences when it's released. So maybe in that case, it is affecting the story and it has to be, written over and over again. Currently, none of us have any insight, or I don't have any insight as to what kind of story they are going with. The previous rumor was that it was going to be a period piece, almost similar to that of Sinners. But now that Sinners is out, I doubt that that will be the case, and that would have helped in a way because that would have kept it for lack of a better word, in a pocket timepiece where, regardless of whatever might have happened in the current MCU as it stands, it won't affect the story. But it looks like things have changed, and we are yet to know why perhaps this delay keeps happening. But from the little I can guess is because of the evolving storylines that is happening now. And with Sinners having been released, I doubt that the Blade movie would also be written or be made in that particular time period piece. So that is a different thing altogether. But regardless of whatever the case may be, they are losing quality actors who can help them make a great impact with the film that they are producing. And that is indeed a challenge for Marvel. And with Mia Goth dropping out, that is really a big blow because she is indeed a very good actress. Having come off certain projects like X and a whole lot, she is said to be the horror queen. And the idea that she will be able to bring some form of vulnerability and at the same time some kind of cynicism or some kind of villainy attributes to it that perhaps she may be superior to any other is something that perhaps may be a challenge when a new actor has to fill in that role. Granted, there may be 1,001 actors that can fit that role so perfectly, but for her to have been chosen perhaps among the first choices of actresses available to Marvel, it meant that she had something that perhaps the whole lot don't have. So it is indeed a big blow for Marvel Studios. But if you have to take a look at it critically, it's not really too much of a blow. It's possible they are just moving their chess pieces around. Why am I saying that? Star Wars and Marvel belong to Disney anyway, so they could work out a schedule that would favor her without her necessarily being dropped because just as I said earlier, it is reported, so there's no confirmation as to whether she's left the Marvel project for good. It could just be that because this is not taken off yet, she's been moved on to this one to work on it, whilst perhaps they find what something to do about the titular character himself. That is the role being played by Mahashala, who himself left to shoot Jurassic Park and came back. So I don't think it's too bad of a news yet because nothing has been confirmed yet. It's only a rumor, and perhaps I think there could be truth to the rumor. So it is of a concern, but since there's not been any confirmation, I still think and hope that Maya Goth is still part of the Blade and they could work out a way where it won't conflict with her schedule for her to come back and star in the Blade movie and also be excited for Mahershala Ali to finally have his time in the MCU universe. So that is what we are hoping for as a film fans in general. I wouldn't say just comic book movie fans, but film fans in general, because Mahershala Ali is such a fantastic actor. We've lost a number of people to this from this project. Aaron Pierre, who is now off filming the Green Lantern, and then we have Delroy Lindo. Please pardon me. I hope I just got the name right. Yeah, Delroy Lindo, who also left to shoot Sinners, but even with him, I don't know whether he has existing projects at the time being, but if he does, and perhaps there's a window of opportunity for him to still be attached to it, that is fine. Unless perhaps it's clear that he has dropped out completely, which currently seems to be the case. But you never know. I mean, since nothing has been confirmed about the Blade movie for sure, we are waiting to see what will become of it later. So it is not so much of a bad news. And then since nothing has been confirmed, we are hoping that may not be the case. That Mia Goth is still attached to this project. That's what we are hoping for her to deliver such stellar performances of Mahershala Ali, who is such a great two-time Academy Award nominee. I mean winner, sorry, Academy Award winner. So we are hoping for the best for the Blade movie. And moving on from that to the since we came back from the weekend, I'm sure you went on to watch some movies. So let's quickly go through some of the top 10 films and the amounts of money they made over the weekend. So beginning with a domestic, North American domestic weekend 24, we have How to Train Your Dragon swooping in to take the number one spot with $83.7 million. And then we have Lilo and Stitch dropping from number one with $15.5 million. Number three, we have Materialist, which also happens to be its first weekend, making $12,423 in its first weekend, and dropping to number four from number three. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning has made 10,379 dollars. And then at number five, from number two, from the world of John Wick, Ballerina, in its second weekend, actually, sorry, yeah, in its second, let me take it again. So it was at number two from last week, and it's now at number five, and it has made 9.4 million, with a total making a total of 41,832,471. So let me just recap back on the Mission Impossible, which has made a total of 166,316 $1,000, and Lilo and Stitch has added up to $366,371,809. And at number six, we have Karate Kid, which dropped from number four from last week, and has made $5,040 to a total cum of 44,153,000. This is just domestic. At number seven, we have the Final Destination dropping from number five, and then it made $3.9,290 to a total of $130,648,000. And at number eight, we have the Phoenician Scheme, the Wes Anderson movie, for dropping from number 6 last week, and then it's made $3,073,190 to a total of 12.8 million. Number 9, actually moving up from number 19, is The Life of Chuck, which has made $2,144,250, and that's the total so far. Sorry, making it to a total cum of $2,441,423. Sorry, let me take it again. $2,441,423. And last but not the least, still among the number 10 is Sinners, dropping from number 9 with making a $1,470,000 to a total domestic cum of $275,484,237. So that is what the domestic total of the North American box office market looks like. Now, moving on from that to the international scene, we have still at, sorry, I think, yeah, pardon me. So, yeah, so moving on from the domestic box office to the international worldwide box office, we still have Neza 2 at number 1 with a total of 1.1 billion 899 million 226,675 dollars. And number 2 is a Minecraft with 951,514,812 dollars. Lilo and Stitch is at 858 $371,809. At this rate, it is a sure bet that Lilo and Stitch will cross the $1 billion, you know, will cross the $1 billion mark. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning has made $506,816,000. Captain America is still at number 5 with $415,101,577. And Thunderbolts, it's at $379,345,032. And number 7 is Sinners with $361,184,237. Number 8, Final Destination Bloodlines has made a total of $271,748,000. And at number 9, Snow White, you have 205 million, and then $638,736. And then last but not the least, How to Train Your Dragon at $197,845,000. So this is the total domestic, worldwide box office so far. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode. All too soon, I've come to an end of it, and I'm grateful that you joined me. So I'll be coming your way again with some exciting stories from around the world with on right here on the Film Mandates. My name is Papa Utu, and I'll see you tomorrow.